जय हिंद एवरीवन. टुडे वी हैव विद अस कमांडर राम गुरुंग. आज हम एक थोड़ा सा एडवांस्ड टॉपिक के ऊपर टॉक करेंगे. आज सर से बातचीत करेंगे. आई मीन द टॉपिक इज दैट once you have transited and now you are finding your place in the corporate sector, what are the essential steps or the essential behavioral aspects you should be focused on so that you not only transit, you progress and do well in the corporate. And that is what I would be interacting with Ram sir today. And once me and Commander Gurung have completed our conversation, then you're most welcome to ask your questions. Before I do that, I would like to give a small introduction about Ram sir. Commander Ram Gurung is an ex-NDA, a submariner, and then he also did his MBA from the prestigious FMS, Faculty of Management Studies, Delhi University. He completed Six Sigma Green Belt from the Institute of Statistical Studies, and then he has worked as a consultant for the Defense and Airspace vertical with one of the famous Grant Thornton, that's a consulting company, and now sir has been actively involved in helping officers transition from uniform to corporate careers. So we have been interacting with him quite a lot, and he has been guiding and mentoring a lot of officers. He himself has established a benchmark to help at least 10,000 officers in this journey of their transition from the uniform to corporate. So welcome to today's talk, Ramsar.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vipul, for those kind words and yet giving me another opportunity for connecting you, as well as the esteemed member of the Value Network. And I also admire the kind of work that you, along with Manish and Major Jayesh, are putting in to make this transition journey from the force to the corporate a little simpler for all our valuable members. Back to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, जैसा मैंने आपसे आज पहले भी थोड़ा सा चर्चा करी थी, and continuing the same conversation, armed forces is a very different kind of an working environment, quite hierarchical, very structured, and our SOPs are very elaborate. And also we have, I mean, so as to say, कानूनी अलग है. We are governed by the different laws altogether. Now, the same individual, he comes to the corporate, and the hierarchy is less steep. The bigger the corporate, more, I mean, there are different kind of formalities and informalities there. So, मैं आपसे ये समझना चाहूँगा, sir. My first query to you would be that what are some of the effective strategies wherein an individual officer, when transitioning, can be adapting to the corporate culture and work environment for effective work, so that the progress is faster.
Okay, so before actually we move on to that particular question, right? I think transition actually is a two-part process. एक पहला है कि फौज से you move on to a new job in the corporate. So basically finding the right job is the first one. And second is to make progress in that, establish yourself and excel in the corporate, because corporate में भी आपका नया जन्म हुआ है. I take it that way, right? So how do you establish yourself in that new setup of especially the culture that we are talking about? आज का जो हमारा main theme है, the cultural fitment. So how do you make changes in yourself, or how do you see कि मेरे को अंदर क्या क्या चीज मुझे करना चाहिए, so that I am a good cultural fit in the new environment and I can establish and excel. जैसे आपने फौज में एक्सेल किया था, चाहे वो 10 साल के लिए हो, 15 या 20 साल के लिए, right? So how do you incorporate the similar kind of strategies and make a mark for yourself in the second career that you have actually designed for yourself? So now you're asking me, okay, so what are the different kind of strategies that we can use, right, to adapt to this new culture? So सबसे पहले तो मैं ये कहूँगा, mindset. Accepting that yes, there will be changes in the way I think and I operate that I used to do earlier and then that I have to do on a new environment. तो जब कोई भी चीज हम एक्सेप्ट कर लेते हैं ना, तो आफ्टर दैट एक्चुअली थिंग्स लुक्स इजियर फॉर doing it, and also taking further step to excel in it. So सबसे पहले मैं बोलूंगा कि एक्सेप्ट कर लेना चाहिए कि कल्चर चेंज तो है. Right now, the second step will be when initially we go. Now we are talking about I'm especially talking about when we are moving for the first job, because जब आप first job से second job, second से third जाते हैं, तो then it becomes quite easy for you to adapt to the new environment. There's no problem in that. So especially our focus today will be the first job. So when you move to the any new job, the first step will be the observe and learn, because you're new to that particular culture and everybody around you also knows कि ये नए हैं. He may have reached a certain position in the force, but with respect to this culture, this way of functioning, he's a new one. So the first thing will be, observe, take some time, learn new things, how actually people communicate, how do they dress, how do they address each other, right? वो सबका आपको पता ही है, the sir and ma'am actually does not work in many of the corporate, right? They are actually be addressed by the first name, क्योंकि हमारे लिए थोड़ा सा अटपटा लग सकता है शुरू में, but finally you'll get used to it, right? Finally you'll get used to it. And the second thing is, whenever we don't know anything, it's always better to ask than assume, right? And that will happen in the initial days. जैसे नहीं कि हम 2 साल के बाद, we're trying to ask something, then obviously it will not look fit, right? So initially, 3 months, 6 months, when people are still receptive to your question, because they are there to help you, because they are team members. Because if you excel, the team will excel, right? I take it like that. So it's everybody's effort to make that team stronger by welcoming you, by teaching you, right? But you need to be open to learn, right? And third thing will be a little more flexible in your approach, right? Look around, see around, कैसे यहाँ पर चलता है, because culture is, somebody said the culture is actually the unwritten rules, right? Uniform आपको दिख जाएगा, hierarchy आपको कुछ दिख जाएगा, but what actually happens which is not written there in the rules and regulation of any company is the culture, right? So अगर ये छोटी-छोटी बातों को हम ध्यान रखेंगे, then it becomes easier for us to assimilate in the new environment and then excel. एक बार आप adjust हो गए, तो उसके बाद तो फिर excel ही करना है.
ओके सर, इससे एक फॉलो अप क्वेश्चन मैं नोट्स भी ले रहा था जो आप बता रहे थे उससे, कि जब हम फौज में हैं तो कोर्समेट्स एंड कंपनी टाइप एंड regimental, and there's a very different kind of a bonding, there's a very different kind of a relationship जो और preparatory school से आते हैं, so Sainik school and Georgians, that's there. So we have that pre-bonding, even any kind of an environment we are in. And then Forge by nature fosters a spirit code. We have the unit case and there are a lot of activities on a daily basis which help us create those bonds, that brother on my left, brother on my right wala jo concept hai. How do we do this in the corporate setup? How do we create those bonds? How do we create those relationships which help us navigate the unsaid rules? Not by the book, कि हमारा काम भी हो, not everything can happen by the written rules.
Okay, so that's an important question. Actually, क्या होता है, like when we move into the new office, ऐसा हो सकता है that the team that you're working with have actually never worked with a Fauji before, right? Could be possible. और ऐसा हो सकता है कि they already have an experience of working with a Fauji, so they know how they operate, or initially how do they think and what do they do and how they do, right? तो उनको पता है. But considering that, those people are newbies, especially they have not interacted with any Fauji's before, या उनके साथ कभी काम करने का मौका नहीं मिला, या उनके टीम में या उनके कंपनी में itself you are the first person. So it becomes very important on how do you go and introduce yourself, right? Because being in the force for so long, ऐसा हो सकता है that definitely we should take pride in our rank and in our positions, but that should actually not come in the way when we talk with our team members. Because हम किसी भी कंपनी में जाएंगे, you'll realize that at least majority, maybe more than 50 to 60% of the people, they may be senior to you, right there, but actually by age, they could be, quite less than your age, right? So how do you mingle with them? By keeping that rank aside, by being a team member, कि चलो भैया ये हमारा टीम का काम है, let's see how do we actually go about solving this, because that is the approach actually which will work there. You may be a program manager, you may be a chief security officer, but that chief tag actually does not give oneself a privilege कि okay मैं जो बोलूंगा उस तरीके से होगा. We all know that, right? फौज में थोड़ा सा अलग तरीके से काम होता है, and corporate में थोड़ा अलग तरीके से काम होगा. So we should be open for, let's say, feedback from these people. Be a team player. कैसे इस काम को सही किया जा सकता है? If I tell you, right, like when I was in the corporate, so I used to make field visits with my team members, though I was not required to, but initially to understand the things and to show that other people in the team that yes, I am also capable of going to the field and doing the same thing that you do. And it's always better to learn from the ground, right? Initially आपको रूल बताने की जरूरत नहीं, but initially अगर आपने 2-3 बार उस ground level का काम कर लिया, then when you rise up, it becomes very easy to think from the perspective of the people who are in the field. Because again, as I said, that is your new birth, right, where you're learning things from the ground. It's always better to interact from the low level people to the higher level, because that is definitely going to help you at a later stage also. And one more thing is, be ready to share some tidbits, add humor when you actually talk to these people, because that's what actually create a team bonding. Like मुझे याद है, whenever people used to ask me about some submarine life and all, so I used to share a lot of things about how we operate submarines and all. Obviously yes, without disclosing the confidential data, right? There are so many other aspects that you can actually talk to them, share, because उनके पास काफी inquisitiveness रहता है उनको कि कैसे करते हैं लोग, कैसे ऐसे environment में रहते हैं, right? Maybe high altitude or submarines or ship or aircraft or fighter pilot. I mean, they have that inquisitiveness कि कैसे होता है. So if you share these kind of little bit information, they are actually drawn towards you, and then you work. Bonding हो जाती है, team में gelling आ जाती है, right? So ये छोटे-छोटे चीजें, if you actually keep us in mind, I think that's go a long way, long way to form a strong bond in the team.
Gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind.